Hi everybody, tonight we're having Mediterranean chicken, and this is a real easy recipe. I just kind of came up with it, and that's what I call it. It's real simple, but it's got to be done in steps, and what you're going to need is boneless, skinless chicken breasts, and there's olive oil in here already that I have rolled the chicken around in, so they're nicely coated in olive oil. You're going to need some rosemary, some spicy brown mustard, Kalamata olives, red wine vinegar, and then the olives are in a red wine vinegar and spices mixture. So I take a half a cup of that also, and it's a half a cup of the plain red wine vinegar and a half a cup of the olive juice and a couple of tablespoons of Italian seasonings, and then a tablespoon of any kind of seasonings for chicken that you like. I'm using a lemony seasoning for chicken that I also added a bit of a spicy mix to, so it has just something, a little spice added to it. So first what we're going to do is I'm going to dump in the liquids, and I'm just gonna kind of get it everywhere. And the mustard is not going to go in this stage. That's going to go after this chicken has been cooked, and we're going to take it back out of the oven, and we're going to put mustard over the top. Then we're going to put a slice of ham over the top, and then a slice of Swiss cheese. But we're going to do that later. First, we're going to do the seasonings. So I'm going to put on my Italian seasonings, and I always put them in my hand and rub them as I'm sprinkling them. Oh, getting it everywhere. And you put on as much seasonings or whatever kind of seasonings you want. If you don't like olives, don't put olives. Change the recipe. It'll be good. And my spices. And it might seem like a lot of red wine vinegar, but the acid in the vinegar is going to tenderize your chicken, and it's going to give it a lot of nice flavor. It's going to evaporate in the oven also. You're not going to, it's not going to be a ton of juice left, but it's really going to make it taste really, really good. And then the olives. And then this is going to be put, and you can put green olives in here if you like. I've put stuffed olives with almonds in it, blue cheese, feta cheese, whatever you want. Doesn't matter. It's gonna taste good. I gotta wash my hands real quick so I can put my rosemary on. Put a little rosemary on it before we put it in the oven. I love fresh rosemary. This is going to be really yummy. Alright, so now, because there's acid, I'm going to put a piece of parchment paper over the top of this. And then I'm going to put a piece of tin foil tightly over the top of that, and it's going to go into an oven at 350 degrees for an hour. And I'll be back in an hour, and we'll see how well it's cooked and whether it's time to put the cheese on or not. Okay, so we've got the parchment over. Just put it over like this. And then put tin foil over it. Nice and tight. And that way this chicken is going to be nice and steamed in here. And all your liquid won't escape. And they won't dry out that way. So, alright, this is ready to go in the oven, 350 degrees for an hour. I'll be back in an hour. Okay, it's been an hour, and I've removed the parchment paper and the tin foil, and I'm going to stick it back in for another half hour to evaporate some of these juices before we put on the rest of the ingredients. And the chicken's pretty much done right now. It's registering, it's about 180, so that's done for a chicken. And so we're just, like I said, I want to evaporate some of these juices. And I might even scoop some out if in a half hour it's not evaporated enough before I put on the meat. And the meat and the cheese and the mustard going on, it's just going to be put in the oven long enough to melt it, the cheese, and heat the meat. So just a short amount of time. So I will be back in a half hour. Okay, it's been a half hour. I drained off a small amount of the juice. I put on my spicy brown mustard, and now the ham. Just one slice, and just lay it on there so it fits on top of the chicken. So just lay them on there, and then put the cheese on. And then put it back in the oven for another 10 minutes until the cheese is melted, and it'll be heated through because it's just a thin slice, good ham lunch meat, not sweetened. Just this is ham off the bone, so it's just like a slice of ham. And then I use Swiss cheese. And so just take the cheese and lay it on there to cover the ham. And it looks like it's all kind of mushed together, but it'll melt down the sides of the chicken, and then it'll form into the shape of the chicken. It won't be all stuck together or anything. Alright, that's it. I'm going to stick it in the oven for 10 minutes and show you what it looks like when it's done. Alright, it's done. So that cooked for about an hour and 40 minutes, and it smells so good. So this is what it looks like. It's nice and moist. But there you can see it. Oh, yum. Yum, that is so good. And you would think with all of that red wine vinegar that it'd be strong. It's not. It's perfect. It is so moist. This is like one of our favorite dinners. And it really isn't that expensive. It's a little because it's chicken, boneless, skinless chicken breasts. But I've made this with the cheaper ones that you can buy frozen in a bag without even thawing them. Just throw them frozen into the pan with everything that I showed you. Throw it in the oven. You might have to cook it a little longer, but the tin foil over the top makes it steam real nicely, and it cooks them really good. And that red wine vinegar really helps to tenderize the meat. The acids in the vinegar. It's very yummy. And then you just serve it with a little extra mustard on the side. And there you go.